How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. Now on today's show we're going to be talking about the big meeting this morning, and that is all 20 Premier League clubs will be discussing what's going to happen to the season. Will it go ahead? If not, what are they going to do? Also some good news. Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, Roman Abramovich, now they all own hotels, and from this weekend they will be giving those hotels over and the beds to all the NHS staff that are currently working and trying to help fight the coronavirus outbreak.
I represent my fucking self.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right. So the first place we're going to start is the big meeting today. It's between all 20 Premier League clubs, and there's a lot on the agenda. And there's a lot that they need to sort out. I don't think that everything will get sorted out today. I don't think there's going to be some massive decisions, but there's a lot that they need to go through, and there's a lot of things that they need to clarify if the season doesn't get back underway. Are we going to start the league again in April? Are games going to go behind closed doors? What if the season doesn't finish by the end of June, which is the deadline? You know, who's going to get relegated? Do Liverpool get the title? So many things. Now, we look at what is actually on the agenda. And like I said, there's 20 Premier League teams all involved. Now, the meeting will actually be held via video link for obvious reasons. And of course, the league is currently suspended until April the 4th. But that date is, of course, widely expected to be pushed back. And the Premier League bosses will now hold a key meeting with clubs to discuss the next steps amid the pandemic. Thursday morning's meeting will take place via a conference call because, of course, there's a UK ban on non-essential social contact. But what is actually on the agenda? This will be the first conference call to focus solely on the long-term implications of an unprecedented situation. Last Friday, every club agreed to suspend games until at least April the 4th in a united front with the rest of English football. The call will include expert advice, and clubs will receive modelling that will show various scenarios and its anticipated impact. A number of options will be put to clubs, but to start a discussion rather than make a decision on the day. So like I was saying there, I don't think there's going to be some mad, crazy decisions made during the course of the day. I just think that they're trying to test waters and trying to lay some foundations for if the worst does happen. Will the season actually end? That is the Premier League's ambition, to resume the season and getting the games played when it's safe and right to do so. Given the ongoing uncertainty over the coronavirus pandemic, we are unlikely to receive a concrete answer on a time frame at this stage. Will the season be null and void? No other European league has adopted that approach, so it would be premature to expect the Premier League to take a lead on such a decision. An agreement will have to be reached on whether the current season should end at some point, but developments in the world are changing at pace and there is no immediate need to rush to any commitment. Currently, there seems no appetite from the majority of clubs to declare the season null and void. Why not extend the end date of the season? You know, get it a little bit further, because of course there's no Euro 2020 now. The Premier League has committed to finishing the season by the end of June, should the situation approve, of course, along with every other league in European football, but they will only resume games when it is safe to do so. Clubs will want to play all 38 games. It is cleaner and avoids a potential legal minefield. On the face of it, why not, says one senior football executive when asked whether the new season should start later in the year. What is the rush to start the new season in August? Why not prioritise ending the current one first? Clearly, the Premier League would prefer to start the new season on schedule, but these are extraordinary times and every scenario is likely to be considered. So what about the question of playing games behind closed doors? Public health will always remain number one priority. Premier League clubs understand the need to resume games, but they also understand the games will only remain second to health. Usually there is at least one ambulance at every game in case of serious head injury, for example. No club will want to put an additional strain on any already stretched NHS service. So that's pretty self-explanatory, and that's, a good thing. Will the Euro 2020 postponement actually help the Premier League? The postponement of Euro 2020 would theoretically allow the remaining Premier League fixtures to be played during the tournament summer. But UEFA stating outlines that there may be possible limitations or drops of current exclusive calendar slots, potentially resulting in the scheduling of domestic league matches in midweek and the scheduling of UEFA club competition matches on a weekend, makes things a little bit more difficult. How likely is consensus? Every club has its own agenda with different ownership and financial models. It is normal for clubs to exchange differing views. Determining the future of the season is about as decisive as it gets. On Tuesday, FA Chief Executive Mark Bullingham told Sky Sports that every priority to finish the season following the unprecedented postponement of Euro 2020. The rallying call to clubs will be to show a sense of togetherness and do what is right for the integrity of the game. The ambition is to resume the season and get games played, but only when it is safe to do so. Now, can players still train? Now, there was talk that Arsenal can go back into training next Tuesday. Is that likely though, given the current severity of everything? Most clubs in the Premier League have closed their training grounds with players working on fitness at their own homes. Some clubs have already cancelled the sale window for their 2021 season tickets, including Tottenham and Crystal Palace. Now, this is a question that I raised a few days ago, and it is one that's going to be a bit of a sticky one, and that is player contracts, because some players' contracts will end around about June time. What if the season goes into July, August? Are you allowed those players? Are they still your player? There's so many ramifications. Now, clubs will be guided by FIFA via the Football Association. A working group has been established by World Football governing body, and talks are ongoing over player transfers and contracts. A group of experts will consider whether to make amendments or temporary dispensations to the regulations on the status and transfer of player to protect contracts for both player and clubs, and adjusting those registration periods. So that's one hell of a minefield that they've got to try and get through. So you're looking at it, and there's a lot on the agenda. Like I was saying, the meeting is very broad. And I feel at the moment what they're going to do is try and, set a base, get some ground rules in place and see where everyone's at. Maybe ask some of the clubs as to where they sit. Do they want the league to finish? What their scenario is? Should Liverpool have the title? Is there relegation, European places? All these kind of things. I don't think that there's going to be major decisions today, but it's the start of what could be the future of this season, that's for sure. So next piece of news, like I was saying, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs and Roman Abramovich. Now, Gary Neville and Ryan Giggs, they own 2 hotels in Manchester. And of course, Roman Abramovich owns a hotel which is directly joined onto Stamford Bridge. And they're going to be giving away all the beds in their hotels to the NHS staff. And I'll tell you something, that is one hell of a gesture. And Roman Abramovich, for example, gets a lot of criticism and there's been a lot of things said. But I tell you something, fair play to him, because the NHS staff and what they're doing and what they're having to go through and everything else, this could be one weight off their minds, and it's absolutely superb. Now, Gary Neville, he'd done a video on the situation and exactly what he was saying about his staff. And he's saying that they're, in the process of putting packages together so that no staff will be redundant. They won't lose pay. They will be looked after. Absolutely superb. Imagine having a boss that actually cares for you that much. Unbelievable gesture. Now, of course, the 2 hotels run by Gary Neville and Ryan Giggs, Hotel Football, which is located near Old Trafford, and the Stock Exchange in the city centre, are owned by the pair through the GG Hospitality Group. Chelsea also confirmed on Wednesday morning that the Millennium Hotel at Stamford Bridge will be used by NHS staff assisting with the coronavirus outbreak. Now, Gary Neville, he has stated that he will do the same with the scheme in place from Friday onwards in order to help accommodate medical workers. Over the last week, we have been in consultation with the health services in Greater Manchester area, in particular, the Manchester University NHS Foundation Trust. Over 176 beds will be occupied by NHS service workers and medical professionals from Friday onwards. It's at this time that I think the whole of our industry needs to show solidarity, not just for our staff in these uncertain times, but obviously for those who need the accommodation most in the coming months. It's something we're delighted to have come into agreement with. It will operate free of charge and our staff will operate the hotels as normal. Absolutely brilliant. And it's nice to have a really good story, a feel-good factor. Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, Roman Abramovich, hats off to all three of you, because you know you don't have to do it, but what you've done, absolutely superb. And I think that all three of them should be commended for what they've done. And you know, it's easy to say that they're multi-millionaires, they've got loads of money, they can afford it and everything else. They don't have to do it. All right, first and foremost, there's a lot of people out there that have been in the news recently, certain airline owners and whatnot that are saying, well, we want to borrow some money from the taxpayers and everything else. And do they really care about the public? Nah, not really. But this, absolutely superb. So hats off to all three of them. So there we go. That is it for today's DT Daily. Of course, the big talking point is that meeting with the Premier League and all 20 clubs. And what will come of that meeting? Are we going to find out anything? We'll obviously wait and see, and I'll report on it tomorrow. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video. I'll see you a lot soon. I'm out of here.